Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Monday morning, the 22nd of July. And we're sticking with the Jay Slater case today. And honestly, it's not often that I do call out videos, commenting on other creators' opinions on stuff. Occasionally I do, but usually I leave that aside because it can quickly descend into drama. And that's not what I'm about on this channel. But I'm going to make an exception because there is a video that someone posted in my Facebook group yesterday. Now, I wouldn't have seen this had it not been posted in my Facebook group. If you do Facebook and you want to join my group, there's a link in the description box of all videos. You just click on it. It's a private group, so you need to answer some questions and you'll get accepted if you answer the questions. So this person claims to be a final year forensic and criminology student. All right, well, we'll come back to that. First, let's give some background. Jay Slater was found last week. I did a live stream, July the 16th, and at the point of this live stream, the body had been found. The body had the possessions and the clothes that Jay Slater had, and also there was some documentation with the body that was Jay's, so led them to believe that it was Jay. The news came out and said the full ID on the body was unlikely to happen until next week. In the first comments so far since the Grim Police discovery yesterday, officials representing the female investigating judge said, in reference to the British citizen Jay Slater, the autopsy with the full identification of the body and the cause of death will take time because the body is very deteriorated. The court is saying the official identification will not be known until next week. And I said, well, yeah, that's obvious because in an advanced state of decomposition, you could use dental records. If you've got up-to-date dental records and you know who your dentist is, then they'll just go to that dentist, get your dental records and compare those dental records with the body's teeth. But in some cases, that is not possible. If you've not been to a dentist recently, or they don't know what dentist you've been to because dental records are not like recorded centrally. It's not like the police or a medical examiner can just, tap on a computer, enter a database and hey presto, everybody's dental records are there. Also, they can't use dental records if some of the teeth are missing or the body, like the face has been smashed up and the teeth are broken. So, in some cases, like Nicola Bulley was identified via dental records. There's a lot of cases where bodies that have decomposed, dental records are obtainable, and that's a satisfactory way to ID someone. But usually, in cases of advanced decomposition, DNA is the thing that they will use. So they'll take DNA from the body. They will ask a family member to provide a DNA sample, like his mother or his father, and they will compare the DNA from the body with that of that family member. They can also use the person's possessions, like if they've got a toothbrush or a hairbrush or something like that. So there's lots of ways you can identify a body. Now, I said in this live stream, if you listen to it, they're not going to be able to use fingerprints because of the deterioration of the body. And I was wrong because I'm not an expert in this stuff. I worked for over 20 years in forensic psychology. Come on to that in a second. I did biology in college, so I can do anatomy, physiology, histology, that kind of thing. But in terms of advanced forensic science, which is required if you want to, give an expert opinion on something like fingerprinting decomposed bodies, then I'm not an expert on it. It was my assumption without checking the actual literature. But minutes after I finished that live stream, so on the same day, this came out. And I said, contrary to what was reported this morning about the body in Masca only being ID'd next week. In fact, they have now confirmed the body to be that of 19-year-old Jay Slater. This was confirmed by fingerprint analysis. Also, the cause of death is trauma consistent with the fall in a rocky area. Rest in peace, Jay. My heart is with his family and friends right now. And this was what was said. The High Court Justice of the Canary Islands confirmed a positive ID. Fingerprints were that of Jay Slater. The death was caused by a fall in a rocky area. Okay. We've got a cause of death, likely a fall in a rocky area, causing multiple traumas. That's what they said, multiple traumas, multiple broken bones, and also that it's likely he died instantly. So I speculated that they must have found evidence of, let's say, a bashed-in skull or a broken neck, that kind of thing, which would be instant death. All right, so let's talk about this dude. I don't know him. Like I said at the beginning, I wouldn't have known about this video had it not been posted in my Facebook group, but it has had 35,000 views in one day. So that's an impressive amount of views in one day for somebody who's got 4,000 subscribers. So who is this guy? No idea. I'm taking it at face value for who this dude says he is. Let's listen in. He gives some credentials, first of all.
Before I start, let me just quickly give you my credentials so you know I'm not just talking like biased rubbish just for the sake of this, okay? So, as most of you know, I'm a final year student at university studying forensic and criminological psychology.
He's a final year student. Now, he doesn't say whether that's an undergraduate degree or a postgraduate degree, but final year, well, it's summer. So is he just going into his final year? So if he's an undergrad, he'll have done 2 full years of study in that degree. And I know this because I taught criminological and forensic psychology. All right. For many years. Let me just give you a little bit of a tour down memory lane. So I got my undergraduate degree in psychology in 1997. I started a PhD in 1997. I also started doing part-time work, marking people's work, doing private tuition, and doing some lab classes. So the very minute that I started my PhD, I also started, I guess you would say, the beginnings of a teaching career. Fast forward to the year 2000, and that was when I got my first permanent post as a lecturer in psychology. So I was a lecturer in psychology. I then, several years later, got promoted to senior lecturer in psychology. In 2002, I finally got my PhD. By the end of my career in psychology, I'd had over 60 academic publications in various academic journals. I'd written book chapters, gone to many conferences. I'd worked with victims groups as part of my research, and as a consultant, I worked with the police as part of my research for a couple of years. I was editor-in-chief of an academic journal for a couple of years. I've been associate editor. I've been a reviewer of many academic journals. I did a lot in 20 years. I left that career in 2021. And I ended my career as a reader in forensic and criminal psychology. So reader's a funny title. I don't think it translates over into other countries. It's some kind of archaic research title. The step up from a reader is full professor. What I can tell you is that criminal and forensic psychology does not make you credentialed in forensic science. Forensic psychology is the study of the criminal mind, the study of victimology, the study of why crime occurs, the study of the theoretical principles to do with all of that stuff. Prevention of crime, reduction of crime, rehabilitation, all of that comes under the umbrella of forensic psychology. But forensic science and the study of crime scenes and things like that, that's not psychology. I could say, look, I'm a psychologist. I could have kept my chartership if I wanted to. I could carry on calling myself a psychologist if I wanted to. I choose not to. And usually I don't even mention that I'm a psychologist or was a psychologist. I don't mention it because it's not relevant to the content that I usually put out. Now, if I do videos on psychology, then I will tell you. So that's not a credential, in my opinion.
And I've also studied forensic archaeology, you know, burial sites, location indicators, all that kind of stuff.
Forensic archaeology, okay, there could be some relevance there. I did a history degree, so I've got 2 psych degrees, but I've also got a history degree, which I just did in my own time. And I did a couple of archaeology courses as part of that history degree. Could I call myself an expert in archaeology? No, but I understand the basic techniques of it. But he doesn't say to what level he has ever worked in forensic archaeology. I don't know the answer.
But for the purpose of this video, I've also got a university qualification in forensic science and fingerprints.
All right, so he's also got a university qualification in forensic science and fingerprints. I can't tell where that's from. And it doesn't tell me the level. So is this just a basic qualification? Is this, a free course that sometimes universities offer? Is it an open university course? What level?
So I do know a little bit about this part of the investigation. So Jay Slater's remains were apparently recovered from that ravine almost a month after he was first reported missing. Now, in biometric data analysis or fingerprint analysis, there's a period of time called the post-mortem interval, or PMI. And this gives investigators a window of opportunity between the time of death and when decomposition has gone too far to be able to get reliable biometric information. Because everybody's fingerprints are made up of ridges, arches and loops. Now, when decomposition has gone too far, when that window of opportunity is gone, enough fluid is lost so the pattern changes and you can no longer get a positive ID.
That is really, really not true.
This window of opportunity varies depending on the climate and the environment. So, for a quick example, if an unidentified corpse was found in, say, parts of Russia or the Arctic where it's way below freezing, these fingerprints can be preserved for a long time and the PMI window can open up to about 50 days. However, in Jay Slater's case, the longest window of opportunity to be able to obtain useful data from biometrics or fingerprints, or the PMI, in the warm conditions like it was in Tenerife, is up to 4 days.
All right, 4 days. Well, he is dead wrong. Dead wrong. So I've no idea what university course he did, but I would imagine that it's at a very basic level, because since the 1960s, it has been known that you can get fingerprints from decomposed bodies. I didn't know this. I didn't know this until this came out, and I was very surprised that they were able to get fingerprints from a body that's been out there for 4 weeks. Deep down at the bottom of a ravine, it would get no direct sunlight. It's a lot cooler in the mountains in that area of northern Tenerife. The day that Jay went missing, the temperature was between 18 and 20 degrees C, so that's like in the 60s. But still, if a body is out there exposed to the elements for 4 weeks, I would assume, as this guy's assumed, that the post-mortem interval is too long and the body would be too decomposed. But it's not about post-mortem interval. That's irrelevant. It's about the state of that body and the techniques they were able to use to reconstruct those fingerprints. Again, it's been known since the 1960s. This was actually published in December 1960. Fingerprinting of decomposed bodies. This was before the police had DNA to work with. I mean, DNA was known, and it's only in the 1980s that techniques became available for the police to use. And obviously techniques have improved over the last 40 years. But in 1960, fingerprints was basically all they had. Fingerprints and dental records. All right, fingerprints could be the most important item in proving the identity of a decomposed body. Even if the person's fingerprints in life were not in criminal or other records, often they may be found on articles known to have been handled by the victim before his death. As the body decomposes, the epidermis, or the outer layer of the skin, becomes detached from the dermis, and this epidermis from the hand often comes off like a glove with the fingernails attached. If the body is at this stage of putrefaction, so this is not advanced decomposition, there is no difficulty in obtaining satisfactory reproductions of the fingerprints. It is when this glove is absent, either because it's been lost in handling of the body or because putrefaction is too advanced, that difficulties arise, or if the epidermis has been completely destroyed, let's say by insect activity or something like that. A number of methods have been described for obtaining dermal fingerprint patterns, but we have found none completely satisfactory. The technique we have evolved offers, in our experience, the greatest chances of success, although there must come a stage of decomposition in which the dermal pattern is destroyed and any possibility of reproducing fingerprints is lost. Fingerprints from the epidermal glove. If the results are required urgently and the epidermis is not too soft and unmanageable, good results can be usually obtained by fitting the putrefied epidermis onto one's own finger, wearing surgical rubber gloves and inking it in the normal way. Otherwise, it's more satisfactory to fix the tissue for 24 hours or more in a solution made up as Forlo's formalin, absolute alcohol and acetic acid. This results in slight swelling and some hardening of the tissue, which makes it easier to handle. If the epidermis is washed for a short time in gently rubbing water before prints are taken, it's less objectionable to deal with. The tissue may be preserved indefinitely in this solution. That's from 1960. So they knew it was possible to get fingerprints from decomposed bodies as long as they had access to the epidermis. Remember, we've got 10 fingers, well, 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. So you only need one. 9 of them could be completely destroyed by insects or the torn or whatever. You just need one. So you've actually got 10 chances of getting a fingerprint off a body. All right, let's move on to maybe a more recent paper. This one is from 2013. The quality improvement of fingerprints of decayed corpses by local thanatopractical processing, or getting the thanatoprint. There's a couple of what you may call grim photos coming up. So avert your eyes. I'll give you like a 2-second warning to avert your eyes when I see them. All right. So what did they do in this study? Well, they had 140 fingerprints in decay stage 1. For decay stages, see table 1. This is table 1. So stage 1 of decomposition is decay of the epidermis. So even in stage 1, you have some decay of the epidermis. Stage 2, decay of the epidermis, glove forming, or maggot infestation. Stage 3 of decomposition, we've got decay in the epidermis, glove forming, maggot infestation or rupture of epidermis. Stage 4, decay of epidermis, glove forming, maggot infestation, rupture of epidermis. So in stage 4, you've got rupture of the epidermis. But what is stage 4? By the 4th stage of human decomposition, most soft tissues have decomposed, leaving only bones, hair and tendons behind. If the corpse is outdoors, whatever skin is left may take on a dry and leathery look, with parts of the skeleton visible thanks to the insects. So you're looking at partial skeletonization, with most of the soft tissues, the organs and whatever have been gone. It's not about post-mortem interval. It's about the exact conditions the body was in. Not about post-mortem interval. That is wrong. Whatever this guy said, post-mortem interval is not the thing that's important. All right. 140 fingerprints of decay stage 1, 90 fingerprints of stages 2 and 3, and 80 fingerprints of stage 4 were examined. So some were excluded from the study due to mummification, so they were removed. Nearly 7% of the fingerprints had to be removed from the study, so it's a little bit less. The percentage of fingerprints that were suitable for this study decreased in higher stages. In stage 2, 80% were suitable. In stage 3, 75% were suitable. And in stage 4, nearly 64% were suitable for analysis. So they had to remove those that weren't suitable. All right, so 2-second warning. I'm going to show you a picture So this is a glove where the epidermis has completely come away of someone in decay stage 3, and that's also stage 3 decay. Overall results. In a synopsis of all results, 76.75% of the obtained fingerprints showed applicable quality, a further 11% were suitable for non-exclusion procedure, and 5.25% of all fingerprints could not be improved sufficiently by thanatopractical processing to be useful for identification. In traditionally recommended procedures, so immersing them in substances as was done in the 1960s for at least half a day, putting on the skin layer on your own hand and fingerprinting it in the usual way, all of those methods can be used. Besides the above-mentioned procedure, direct injection of diverse substances into the finger pads is used to increase the local volume before taking the fingerprint. So if it's dried out, you can rehydrate it. The point is, in traditional techniques of fingerprinting, if the epidermis has come off and the skin has just dried out and become leathery, then yeah, the fingerprints might change or become difficult to fingerprint, but these are rehydration methods. In this study, it was using a higher quality type of methodology, which offers several further advantages. High quality fingerprints, which allows for a considerably shorter wait period, only 30 to 40 minutes after starting the treatment, even in high grade decayed hands. So what is the point that I'm making here? Since the 1960s, they've been able to take decayed fingerprints as long as the epidermis is intact on at least one of them, not been destroyed completely. They've known for a long time how to rehydrate fingers to get fingerprints from even advanced decomposed bodies if at least one finger has the tip intact. You got 10 chances, right? You just need one. And it seems that in Jay's case, once they'd, looked at the body, they were either able to obtain a fingerprint or they did one of these techniques. Maybe they did one of the traditional rehydration techniques. Maybe they used a more advanced technique where you're more likely to get a fingerprint in less time. Techniques improve all the time. But even in traditional fingerprint analysis of decomposing bodies, it's possible by rehydration. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.